and welcome to another edition of Sunflower Podcast. Today we have with us Shelley Windale, and she is mother and businesswoman, both in the UK. She'd been a businesswoman, and now a businesswoman out here with her partner. So we're going to learn today about moving across to France, but we're also going to add in that Shelley has got some enormous dogs and she brought some of them over from the UK. So we're going to explore that further into the podcast. But first of all, we're going to get Shelley to introduce herself and just tell us a wee bit who she was before France and where we are now. Shelley.
Hi, I'm Shelley Windale. I used to live in the UK, down in Bognor Regis, well, just outside of Bognor, Feltham, in a village. And
So you're a mother?
yes, I've got 2 children.
Yeah.
Grown up now. Ollie is 28, coming up 29 this year. Had to think then. And Jessica is 22. We moved. Well, initially I was brought up in Crawley with my mum and dad and my 2 brothers. Then moved to Red Hill. And then because of my ex-husband's business and what have you, and then moved down to Feltham to be with near my ex-husband's mother, and the schools were better down there as well. Ollie was coming to an age where he needed to go to secondary school, and they were a lot better. And it was by the sea.
Yeah.
So,
Who doesn't like the sea?
Exactly. So, so the kids pretty much grew up down there as well, and they've all made a life for themselves and settled and what have you. And, spent a good probably 15 years there, and then here I am.
So, how did you get here? What was the drive to get to France? Not literally the drive, but what was behind coming to France?
So basically, I split up from my ex-husband, and I met Steve, and he was working away a lot. He does like self-storage, like commercial self-storage and mezzanine floors. So he was working away. He was working all over England and over here, France, Germany, all over the place. But predominantly he would come over to France.
Okay.
And he was always talking about France and always saying, he doesn't get hotels for the lads, kind of thing, because he ran his own business, was contracted by big companies, run his own business, but then had self-employed contractors work with him. Yeah. So he would organise all the work, and he was like, no, we're not staying in hotels and all of that. No, when we're away, we want a home from home. Okay. So we'd always get an Airbnb. So, of course, he was getting these Airbnbs that were like, 5-bedroom houses with a swimming pool and da-da-da and all of this sort of stuff. And he would always go on about it and always go on about the countryside. And anyway, for a good few years, he would go on. And he's like, yeah, I always want to move there and all this. And I'm like, all right. And, of course, the kids at that time were quite young. Yeah. They were only sort of like 16 and like 12 sort of thing. So it was like, oh, okay. So he was planting the seed, shall we say. Yeah.
Which is normally women are good at planting the seed.
Yeah, and normally I twig onto stuff like that. But I didn't really twig. I was like, okay, let him have his dream and let him, da-da-da. Anyway, then it went on and the years passed, and he was like, I think we should go and look, like that. And I was like, I was really nervous about it.
So had you been to France at all at this point?
No.
Wow.
I'd come over once and visited him, but that was it. And that was only for a few days, and then gone back to the UK. I came for a day trip with the school years and years ago, but that was it. So, and he was like, oh, I think we should, he started looking online, look at this house, look at that house, and, trying to tempt me sort of thing. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And he's like, look what you can get for your money, this. And I was like, okay. So then he was like, let's go and have a look. And he'd seen a couple of properties, and there was this one particular property, and it was really weird because all the properties that we looked at that we sort of fell in love with were around here.
Okay.
So we didn't actually choose the area.
Okay, it chose you.
It was the house we chose, but the area chose us. So initially we first came over and we looked at a house, and it was an English couple. Mm-hmm. They were looking to move back to the UK, and we shook hands on it. And then the next day they had an email. She sent me an email. She was like, I'm so sorry. She said, but we've had an agent round. They've bought a cash buyer. She was like, it'd be really stupid because we was having to get a mortgage. She was like, would be really stupid to turn it down. I'm like, absolutely understand.
Yeah.
So we lost that one. Obviously wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
So we left it a couple of years. And then we...
Oh, so you left it a couple of years, not just a couple of months?
No, we left it about a year or something. Okay. And then we started looking again. And we sort of decided that we was going to buy a house but have it as a holiday home.
Yeah.
But we would need a mortgage. So we found another house, and it was literally over the other side of Le Chart.
Okay.
And beautiful house, another English couple, blah, blah, blah. But they wouldn't give us a mortgage. They basically, the bank turned around and said it was overpriced and everything else, etc., etc. So we were really gutted. And I said to Steve, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm having heartbreak here.
Yeah.
So then we left it. And then in the meantime, after that, I lost my dad.
Okay.
And it was like, my dad always used to say to me, if you move to France, what are you going to do? You like to be around people. If you move to the middle of the country, you're going to know no one. And I'm like, Dad,
yeah,
you know, I can make friends, you know, who used to go to, when we used to go Butlins holiday, we'd arrive on the Saturday and I'd go, might see you later, I'm going to find a friend.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So
but parents never stop worrying.
But parents,
and we know that now. It's
yeah,
parents,
exactly. So anyway, so you know, my dad died, and I was like, do you know what? Life's too short.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve and I got married in 2019, and then we went, right, let's go looking, sort of thing. So I had some inheritance money, and his business was doing really well, so we could accumulate the funds to be able to look for something that, okay, we might need a small mortgage on it, but you know, if we didn't, we didn't. So we started looking, and we literally came over for a long weekend, and we looked all the way from Brittany all the way. We must have done about 2,000 miles in that long weekend. And the last house that we came to look at, the gates opened, and I just said to Steve, do not under any circumstances let anything like slip, because it was perfect. We said if it met 10-10 for both of us, that was it. And I went, you need a massive poker face now, sort of thing. So we walked round, and it was like, we were sort of like looking at each other going, yeah, like that. And it was like, yeah, that's definitely the one.
And I think for us was the same. We were the last house we saw was the house that we bought.
Yeah. So me being ex-estate agent turned around to the agent and said, okay, yeah, no, it's really nice. We've got another one to look at on the way home tomorrow. And I'll be in touch next week. So off we went. I stayed in a bit Airbnb and went home. Didn't look at another house, obviously. So we was toying with it, and it was up for a lot more than what we wanted to pay. And so I said to Steve, right, I said, we need to go back and have a look. So we went back 2 weeks later and had another look. And it literally just ticked every box. It really did. And I said to the agent, I said, right, we've got one more to look at. Just, it's near Bourges, like that. I'd already planned my story. And I said, it's a toss up between this one and that one. I said, so, you know, give us a week and I'll come back to you. So we got home and number crunching and what have you, and I went, right, I want to pay that. I'm not paying any more than that. So I phoned, put an offer in, it was refused. They came back with a counter offer, and I went, no, I'm not paying that. I said my last offer, and I said I'll pay 175 with estate agent fees thrown in. That's it. And because we'd already luckily got an agreement from the bank that we would get a small mortgage on it. And they said fine. They were desperate to get back to the UK, so we got a massive bargain.
Well done.
And and initially we were going to use it as a holiday home, and then which was fine with me. I was okay with that because it meant I still had my life in the UK, still had the kids and everything else. Because Jess was she was only like coming up for 17, so she was really young. Ollie was a bit older, there's 5 years between them, so he was a little bit more settled, but he was still wrapped around those apron strings, you know.
Boys are.
So anyway, and then COVID hit, And we were due to sign and come over in the September. And I was like, what if we can't go like that? So we had to find a notaire in England who we could give power of attorney to the notaire. So we managed to do that. But luckily there was a window where they let things lift. And my mum always says, only you could move in the middle of a pandemic.
Wow. So so you moved in the pandemic.
Yeah, but literally like about 2 months before we were due to move, we were due to sign for the house, my daughter turned around and said to me, Mum, I might as well go and live with Dad. So I said, oh, okay, because we always decided that we wouldn't move permanently until Jess was at least 18. She was like, I might as well go and live with Dad. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to stop you if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And she said, well, she's like, I'm going to college over in Chichester. So
it makes sense.
It
makes
made
total
sense
to go, yeah.
So I was like, okay, fine, sort of thing. And I said, well, okay, that's not a problem. We talked it through, obviously, a bit more and that. But, and then she said, and I said, well, if that's the case, I said to Steve, I said, look, if Jessie's going to be, she's not going to be here. I'm never going to see her. I never see Ollie anyway. What's the point of us staying here, paying rent? For another 2 years, wasted money effectively when we own a house. And
just
he went,
go.
So he turned around and said, so what are you saying? I was like, why don't we just go?
Yeah, just go.
Let's just go. So, which I don't think my daughter was expecting.
I think that's, and I don't think anybody's family expects it. I think we talk about it and then we go. I kind of got the feeling with some of my family, I think it was like 6 weeks later when suddenly mum wasn't there to babysit or similar, they were like, oh, they've actually gone.
Yeah, it was very much.
Sometimes that's when the shock can, this is sort of the emotional side, isn't it? But it starts, so you came.
We came, but it was about a week before we was due to leave.
Yeah.
So everything was booked. Steve had taken a lot of the stuff over in a trailer. They allowed us to park a trailer with all our stuff in the garden area, so it was all protected and everything. And so we'd half moved already, effectively.
Yeah.
And Jessica turns around and says, you're abandoning me. That emotional pull was really difficult, but I knew I had to. And I was like, well, you made the decision that you wanted to go and stay with your dad, which I'm fine with. And it's not like I'm a million miles away, but it was that break for her because we're very, very close, me and her. And I thought, well, no, I'm not going to be bound by you. This is my life because I'm not going to see you.
Yeah.
You're at college. You're out doing your own thing.
Yeah.
You're making your own life, your own path. This is my time. So
I think we hear that a lot as well because we're both involved in the sunflowers.
Yeah.
And you hear that from a lot of, well, because it's women, mothers.
Yeah.
That bond and that, it goes under a lot of strain initially, I think, where, maybe the first 2 years, it's very hard for both sides, for us here and them over there, to try and find a new path and settle into a new routine kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, it was. And, and Ollie, luckily, I had a friend who, he had a house that he was renting out a room. So Ollie was able to move there. But it was hard on him as well.
Yeah, of course.
And so for the both of them, it was... So straight away, the WhatsApp group got created. And, it was like every day we were talking and, it was like, I'm only a phone call away. I'm only a FaceTime away. And it actually, in some respects, as much as it was for the first year, Jess really it was Jess more than Ollie. She really made me feel like, how dare you abandon me, kind of thing. But that was literally, and now, 5.5 years, 6 years this September, she turns around so many times and says, the best thing you ever did for me.
Yeah.
It made her grow up so quickly, made her learn and made her understand that she has her own life.
Yeah.
But I'm still there.
Yeah, 100%. And I think guilt is a big thing around emotion. You really, really struggle with that when you're...
Very much. I really struggled.
Yeah, and And that can also cause isolation, I think, as well, where you think, I'm the worst mother in the world that's abandoned their children. But even though you were younger, my children were well in their 20s and in their 30s.
Yeah.
But you still revert back to being a child if you're near your mother.
100%.
Doesn't matter what age you are.
Yeah.
I used to drive my dad nuts. I would walk straight in with 3 children and then go straight to the fridge.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he would be shouting, get out the fridge. Yeah. So you do, you know yourselves, you do revert back to that. But yeah, and it is, I think that's one thing that people have to recognise if they're thinking about moving out, or that is going to happen, whether you like it or not. You're going to face challenges around.
You are definitely going to face challenges around family, and I know it depends on what your family circumstances are, etc., and blah blah blah. But I'm very lucky that both my kids, they're very connected with me, so they understood, and they could see that it was me nurturing them into finding their own way
find
as
their own
such,
path.
and but I'm still there for their support,
100%,
and they know that. So, and our relationships have just bloomed from that, I have to say, and I'm closer now more than I've ever been with my kids,
which is
fantastic.
But we do know that it doesn't always work out like that.
We're
not going to paint it like a Disney movie.
I'm one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, you definitely are. You definitely are. In a lot of ways, yeah. Okay, so you've travelled out here and it's lockdown. And you have dogs.
Yeah.
Now, getting dogs into France anyway, I brought a dog and a cat in, and there's a lot of paperwork and there's lots of passports.
We were quite lucky because we came before Brexit.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So it was easy. They didn't even look at their passports. I was like, do you want to look at Archie? He's a really unique dog. They didn't even look at the dogs.
Describe your dogs that you brought in.
Okay, so I brought 2 dogs over. So we have Archie, who is a English Mastiff cross with a Husky. So if you can imagine Scooby-Doo, that's Archie.
Okay.
Size-wise and just everything about Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
So that's Archie. And then Daisy, she's a real mix. Her mum was a Doberman cross with a Rottie. And her dad was a Bull Mastiff cross with a Neapolitan Mastiff.
Wow.
But she's more, when you look at her, she's very dainty.
Right, okay.
She's tall. And she's got more of a Doberman kind of snout to her. But yeah, they were.
And were any of those breeds conflicting? Because we know France has got quite strict rules. Nope, they were okay with that because it's
when
before Brexit.
We registered them at the vet and we asked the question. He was like, because he's a crossbreed, and on his vaccination cards from the vets and his passport it says crossbreed.
Yeah.
So we were fine. And then we got 2 Muppets.
Okay. And how was that? So you bought 2 Rottweilers?
We got 2 Rotties, So we'd literally been here. We moved over on 9/11, believe it or not.
Gosh.
Yeah, I thought is that an omen? But no, it's not.
No.
And October, Steve went, I want to get another dog. And I was like, can we please not just settle for...
It's just before we introduce a
Hello,
puppy.
Sorry, but we've got paperwork to do. I need to get ourselves registered here, And he was like, no, want a Rottie. He would not let up. And when Steve wants something, that's it. He goes like a
Rottweiler?
Goes like a petulant child, you know. So it was like, right, so we found this breeder about an hour away, and he was really good actually. He explained everything because they're classed as a Cat 2 dog here, which is like under the Dangerous Dogs Act.
Okay.
So we had to basically get her registered straight away at the vets.
Yep.
And then within 12 months they have to go undergo a
behavioural
assessment from the vets. And then we also had to do a course to show that we are competent owners and that we know what we're doing around Rottweilers, which proved very difficult. So
presumably that was in French?
Yes.
Okay, so how was your French up to then?
Non-existent, as it still is.
So how did that work?
Well, basically...
And you had to do it twice?
No, but luckily what happened was I put something, because I was really struggling. You have to do that within 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really struggling to find somebody around the area. So I put it out on Facebook, on one of the community pages. I was like, need some help. Does anybody know anybody in this area that would do this competency test for my husband and I, so that, for our dog?
Yeah.
So a lady, and it was really weird how this happened. So a lady private messaged me, and she lives down near Bordeaux.
Wow.
And
which is very far away.
yeah,
3.5 hours
3.5
by
hours
train.
away.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, I might just be your new best friend." So I was like, okay, the breeder that she used, her
Mhm.
breeder, she literally, she's got this, she's amazing, this woman. She breeds all these Rottweilers, and she shows them across all of Europe.
Wow.
And anyway, she said to me, like, we talked on the phone. So she did this assessment with me. She spoke English. She did this assessment with me on the phone, and basically was like, "You've owned Rotties before. You know what you're doing. Blah blah blah, etc."
Wow.
So she did the assessment remotely with me, and so we got it.
And paperwork done.
Paperwork done. Well, and the woman who put me in touch with her, Trisha, she comes from Portsmouth, believe it or not.
Wow.
Just down the road from Chichester, which is like near my
Yeah.
hometown. Couldn't believe it. So we've become really good friends on Facebook and that. So then after that, we had to get Rosie assessed by the vet, and passed with flying colours.
Yeah.
Oh, she thinks she's a princess, honestly. And then what they do is they basically pull the paperwork together. They then send it to your Mary, and then the Mary sends it to the police. So the police have got record of it. And then so she was fine. And then a couple of years later, I was like, Archie is starting to get a bit older, bless him, and it's like the girls need a male dog.
Yeah.
So I was like, we need to get another dog. We need another Rottie. Steve looked at me as if he was totally shocked, because normally I'm like, no, that's it.
No more dogs.
No more dogs.
No more babies, no more dogs.
Yeah. So I contacted Cindy, who had done this thing with me, and I was like, have you got any like litters due? And she said, oh, I haven't got a marriage due probably for a couple of months. And I said, okay. I said, when you do, I want the biggest dog.
Yeah.
And she said, okay. So she reserved me one, and Steve went down there and saw him, and he was huge, and met his dad and his mum and what have you. And we went down there when he was obviously ready to pick him up. And yeah, this ball of fluff came back. Well, I'm gonna tell you what, he's the most dopiest, stupidest. We call him a doofus. His name's Marvin.
Right.
We called him Marvin because our wedding song was
Marvin Gaye.
Right, okay. Well, it was Charlie Puth and Meghan Trainor, but it was Marvin Gaye. So that's why we called him Marvin. And he really is a Marvin. And he's just the loveliest, gentlest Rottweiler and the stupidest that you would ever meet. He's so, so adorable. But he's a guard dog. And he
does his job.
He does his job when he needs to.
Yeah.
He didn't bark for 18 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then just suddenly found his voice and away he went.
Yeah. He found his voice.
Would you say that was like, I suppose it brings us back, we always come back to paperwork and out here and the challenge that it can be out here. But it's really about, I think the frustrating bit when you come out, you think you know everything in the UK, you know where to turn to, and so you really rely on community to get you to the finish line when it comes to any kind of paperwork.
We were quite lucky because when we signed for the house, we had a translator, and she's like a handholder.
Yeah.
So and I still use her to this day when I'm when I don't know what I'm doing, and she was absolutely brilliant. She helped us with our Brexit, transferring over when Brexit happened, that was actually really easy, and I did that myself because it was all online, and it was all fairly simple kind of thing, but other things like registering the business and registering with the doctor and getting our carte vitales and all of that kind of stuff. She was amazing. She was so good.
And a lot of people do use Handholder. I mean, I didn't, and I wish now I had.
Yeah.
But then I've learned the hard way, so I kind of been through every.
Yeah.
So now I kind of try and help out. We've got a mutual friend, and I try and help her out with paperwork and stuff like that because I'm just saying we've just all done our tax returns.
Yeah.
Which is just like trauma. But anyway, it's done. We've hit the button and it's away. And it's once a year. And I think people don't realise all that stuff before you come out.
Yeah. Well, we was worried because obviously Steve ran his own business as a self-employed contractor in the UK. And so we was like, well, do you register as a micro entrepreneur? Blah, 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 etc. What do we do? And luckily, she put us in contact with somebody, and he was like, no, if you go as he said, you can still run an English company over here.
Yeah.
He said, and you register as employees.
Yeah.
So we did it that way.
Yeah.
So we still pay, we pay ourselves,
PAYE and do all that.
All of that,
yeah.
but also we pay ourselves a French wage and the tax on that, and we, and it's worked.
Yeah.
And because otherwise it would have killed us.
Yeah. Taxes
absolutely killed us.
High here.
Yeah.
Taxes high here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fabulous things about being here.
Yeah.
But the tax is high. That's an absolute definite.
Yeah.
And you do, as you say, you need to seek the skills of people that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Definitely. So you've got you're here, the dogs, we've got established language. Tell me about language.
What language?
We have all got, but
well, I mean, I don't know whether or not. I mean, I wish I studied more. Like, I wish I took French at school.
I took French at school, and I don't know where it's gone.
No, well, I literally, and I just, and I really, and that was the one thing that made me the most anxious.
Yeah.
Was having to go into a shop by myself.
Yeah.
And ask for something. Sign language is amazing.
Suddenly we become experts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that did make me feel, I think the first 18 months of being here, my stomach would knot. All the time, even just in the thought of going into the pharmacy or
going for a meal or anything. You were like
anything. It was literally, and it was just like, it was almost like I had to, come on, Shelley.
Yeah, because there's a bit of you wants to withdraw because you think, I can't face going, and because your brain freezes. Yeah. There's no question of that. You're practicing and then you get there and you end up saying something that
they just look at you as if to say, what?
You've just ordered something like, I don't know, something utterly ridiculous and nothing to do with what's on the menu.
So that, and I think because Steve's been over here a lot longer, he's been backwards and forwards. And men, I think, are different anyway. They really don't care.
No.
And, whereas we're more us women are a bit more sensitive to stuff. And I think that, I was like very much sort of like, oh, I can't go into the pharmacy. No, you go to the pharmacy. And he's like, really? Sort of thing. And I'm like, yeah, go on, you do it. And he's like, you're never going to learn. It's like, no, you're right. And then it was like, and it's almost like I had to really push myself to do that. And, I can't speak French. I've been here for 5.5 years. I can't speak French. I get it by a little bit, but I can't seem to retain it. For some reason, it just does not sink in. I find it better if I'm around French people more.
I'm the same.
It sinks in better.
Yeah.
But then I get that distance again. So then it goes.
Yeah.
And I just think, oh, do you know what? It is what it is. And I think I'm not going to beat myself up about it.
No, because you do. You end up really giving yourself a hard time. I know myself. It's like, and I had to literally stop and say, like, so this weekend in France has been Friday and Saturday was, and I'm probably going to say it completely wrong, Fête de Voisins, your neighbour.
Oh.
So our village did it. So, I mean, it was lovely. They have all the tables laid out and everybody brings food and we all sit round the table. Yeah. And I had practiced because we've got a brand new female mayor. Who I knew prior to Sarah, she's fabulous. So I had practiced all morning saying, facilitation, being elected as mayor. And I did it. I was so chuffed. And she looked at me and I went, I've been practicing it all morning. And she said, you can tell, because she speaks really good English. But even just that, and they are so helpful.
Yeah.
If you make the slightest effort, they'll say.
That's what I found. And that's what gets me by. It's like, if you try, then they're more willing.
Yeah, 100%.
And even if you don't know really what you're...
you say the wrong word.
Say the wrong thing, it's like they get that. Yeah. And I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah, please.
We had some mice in the house, and so Steve was like, right, I'll have to go down to Brico and get some mouse traps.
Yeah.
So we go down to Brico and he's looking around. Couldn't find them like that. So he said to one of the girls, he was like, Madame, he was like, mousetrap like this. And I just looked at him and I was like, oh my God. And he was like, mousetrap like this.
Okay.
And she's looking at him like that. And he's like, Tom and Jerry, mousetrap like that. And she went, oh, well, the whole staff were absolutely roaring.
Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. And she went, they're over there.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Yeah.
And you do end up saying the most ridiculous things. I remember Raymond and I, and actually it's when we were travelling back up from Spain and we stopped somewhere to get something to eat. And I couldn't remember the word pullet. And so Raymond's now impersonating a chicken. And the guy thought it was so funny. He got it straight away.
Oh, the sign language. I mean, that Steve's the best at it. He's brilliant. He has everyone in stitches when he does it because they just think he's hilarious.
Yeah.
But they get what he's saying.
Yeah.
And that's what gets us by. And I think to myself, well, do you know what? Don't beat yourself up that you can't speak it. Yeah. You know a bit. And when it push, I understand more than what I can speak.
Yeah, definitely.
So I just think, just go with what you're doing at the end of the day. If in doubt, Google Translate.
Yeah.
Or whatever it's called. Is it DeepL?
Oh, DeepL, and there's all different
there's
ones.
Other ones. And I just think, well, just do it. It doesn't matter. As long as you try, then you will get the help. And it's just building that confidence to go, well, I can try.
We've got one of the sunflower groups, so you come to the one at Equalantia, down in Argenton-sur-Creuse. I've just said Creuse wrong. And there's quite a lot of French ladies come to that. And I had arrived down one day and it was only me that turned up.
Oh.
And the French ladies. And it was amazing because it was like 2 hours solid of immersed in French. But my brain, when I came out, so I've got a 45-minute drive to do now. And I was like, oh, I need to go to bed. But it definitely, you're right, it makes a difference being around French people all the time. It really does. So, obviously you've come out in lockdown, so that there's not, communities just not going to exist at this point in time.
No.
How did you find once you started, or how long did it take you to start engaging in the community properly?
Well, I mean, we were quite lucky because where we lived, up in our little village, there are actually a few English up there. So we sort of befriended a couple of them, and then they introduced us to other neighbours who were French, and then it's like we needed an electrician, so we managed to find a guy who does all our electrics now, and he's English, and he was like, oh, Steve, do you like shooting? You like clay pigeon shooting? He's like, yeah, definitely. He's like, come to the gun club with us. So Steve ended up going to the gun club where we met people there, and so it just sort of almost
evolved.
It just it wasn't trying, it just happened. Kind of thing. Everybody that we've met is by chance. Kind of thing. So I haven't gone looking for it. It's like when Annie's uncle opened up in Cluey. I was like, oh, it's an English place that's opened up, and they were having open night, blah blah blah. So we went up there, and and then you start to meet other people. And it's it's just gone from that. So I haven't actually really tried. And then when it was actually Joe said about sunflower groups, because initially it started in Le Chat, didn't it?
Le Chat was...
which is more her way. And it was like, well, why don't you come to that? And I was like, oh, okay. And then you opened one up, and I was like, oh, I'll come to the one in Egremont, it's closer for me. And and it's just gone from there.
And I think the groups are very different. There's people stick to their own areas, which is... There's some people float around them all, and that's absolutely what it's there for. But it's a good way of sharing, and people do, we know, we've sat at tables and people do open up and share stuff that's because a lot of people are on their own, especially the older ladies.
I think it's a lifeline, to be fair. It's certainly, I look forward to Sunflower Group because it's a chance for me to, because we're very rural where we are, so it's a chance for me to actually get out of my wellies, get out of my shorts and my vest top, and actually put some decent clothes on and a bit of makeup, and go out for the afternoon and have some fun, and chit chat.
And it is a giggle.
Oh, we do have a lot.
Yeah, we do.
It is good fun.
We do.
Yeah, I do enjoy it.
So, if you were to go back to the Shelley who was humming and hawing about coming out, or the seed had just been planted, and go back and tell her what you've learned now about moving out to France and everything that it's brought, not just the good times, but also the challenges it brought with family and stuff, what would you say to her? What would you...
God, I'd just say, don't even think about it, get going.
Yeah, go.
Absolutely go.
Yeah, and but be aware of what's going on round about.
I think at the end of the day, if you don't take the risk, then you know, you'll never know.
Yeah,
and it's like, you know, that's what life's about, learning, and
every day.
Yeah,
every day's a school day.
Exactly.
And although this is a big steep learning curve coming out here and language challenges and everything, it's definitely worth it.
Well, I never thought I'd see myself living abroad. My mum did, and my mum, you know, my mum left when she was 8. I left when I was 18. You know, with my stepdad, and they went to live in Thailand for 7 years.
Wow.
So, you know, but I was always really, really independent.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, you know, and I just thought, oh, do you know what? Yeah. And I think it, you know, looking back, it was like, you know, when losing my dad, that was the turning point.
That was a game changer for you.
That was the game changer. And it was like a bulb switched on in my head, and it was like, what are you doing? You know, live life to the full. Life's worth living. Get out there, take some risks. If it don't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, you can always find a way.
Find a different route.
And, you know, get back up there as such.
Shelley, it's been an absolute pleasure walking that journey with you. Yeah. Thank you so much. And the information around the dogs has been fantastic, because there's a lot of people bring dogs out. There
is, and especially like the Cat 1, Cat 2 dogs. You know, with those, you know, do your research on that. As well. But if anybody needs some help, I know people who can. I know people who know people. I know people who know people.
Shelley, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And, thank you.
Thank you for taking part. It's been lovely speaking to you.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.